back to my YouTube channel. In my previous videos, I talked about the method of substitution as an algebraic method to solve system of equations. In this set of videos, again, I have divided into 3 videos based on 3 different types. I'm going to be talking about the method of elimination as a method to solving system of equations, which is also going to be an algebraic method. Guys, once we are done with these 3 types, then at the end, I'm going to talk about some special cases. Okay, so this method is called the method of elimination. So the key word here is there's actually 2 things that are associated with this method. The idea of eliminating, a variable. Okay, that is the key concept involved in this method. You want to eliminate, or in simpler terms, you want to get rid of one of the variables. Once you get rid of one of the variables, you would be able to solve for the other one and then substitute back. You still have to use substitution to find the other one. And sometimes people also like to think of this method as what we like to call as linear combination. Guys, this linear combination at this step is more like combining things and then seeing what happens from there. So once we start doing examples, it will make more sense. What does the elimination piece mean and what does the linear combination piece mean as well. The other thing that I want you guys to keep in mind with this linear combination and elimination process is that in order to actually solve for a particular variable, we may have to use some mathematical operations, very basic mathematical operations. And the 4 basic mathematical operations that we all know are, and let us all remind ourselves about those 4 mathematical operations, because those 4 operations are going to be very important for this method. So addition plus, subtraction minus, multiplying, and division. So these are the 4 basic mathematical operations and they would be critical for this method. Okay, so without wasting any time, let us start with type 1, the first example. So type 1, example 1, I have a system of equations which looks like this. I have 2x plus y equals to 2, and then I have another equation, because we are talking about system of equations, 7. Okay, so let's call this equation 1 and let us call this equation 2. Okay, guys, I must also mention the fact that you can solve something like this using the method of substitution. And at the end of the day, once you learn both substitution as well as elimination, I'm going to let you figure out for yourselves which method you feel you are more confident with, which method you feel like is going to be more easier, faster for a particular system of equations, and then feel free to use any of the methods at the end of the day. Unless in your notebooks, or in your textbooks or in your homeworks, it specifies that you have to use a particular method, then yes, you have to use that particular method and you're not free to choose any one. But if it does not specify which method you should choose, then it's up to you to decide which method you want to choose. But my job here is to show you all the different methods out there, and then I would like you to think about these methods and decide for yourselves which method you want to use for a particular example. So for something like this, of course, we can use substitution, but we don't want to use substitution. We want to learn a different method, which is called the method of elimination, or eliminating a variable. So how can we accomplish that? Guys, there probably are more than one ways. As I have been telling you in my previous video, there's always more than one ways. One of the ways of getting rid of one of the variables or eliminating one of the variables here would be, if you think about this whole idea of combination or linear combinations, which may involve any of the basic mathematical principles, which involve maybe adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. It could be just one at a time, or it could be a combination of 2 or a combination of all at a time. So guys, the first thing that we want to make sure when we are actually trying to use the method of elimination is that we should align the x's together vertically and the y's together and the constants together as well. In this case, they're already aligned like this. Guys, if they are not aligned like that, then our first thing that we want to accomplish is that we want to align them vertically, okay? x's with x's, y's with y's, and the constants with constants. Once we have it, then we think about how can we eliminate one of the variables. Okay, well, you are free to eliminate any of the variables again, but at the same time you want to eliminate the variable which is easily which is easy to eliminate and which requires less time and is faster. Okay, so if you look at this carefully, here I have a 2x and here there's only an x and there's a 1 in front of it. Then if I look at the second term, I have a plus y and a minus y. Now plus y and minus y, I know if I use the combination or the basic mathematical principle of addition, what is going to happen to the plus y and minus y? It is going to cross out. So if I add those two equations, what am I going to be able to do? I will be able to eliminate one of the variables, and in this case it would be y. Guys, you can also eliminate x, but you may have to do an extra step, which I'm going to show you anyway in my next type, okay? But in this case, it seems reasonable and it seems easy to actually get rid of the y's rather than the x. So how can we accomplish that? By using the basic mathematical rule or basic math principles of adding both the equations, okay? So in this case, we are using the first one, the adding, okay? So if I add them, so you're simply vertically adding them, and that is why I mentioned prior that we want to like have x is vertically aligned and y is vertically aligned and the constants vertically aligned, because that way we have the like terms and we can combine them. So when you add 2x plus 1x, well, there's an invisible one here, it becomes 3x. And what happens to plus y and minus y? Just basically just crosses out, so I don't have to write anything, it's a 0, and then when I add these two, I get a 9. So what happened? By using linear combination and by using the idea of method of elimination, we are able to get rid of one of the variables. Now this is a simple linear equation which can be solved for x by dividing both sides by 3, and we get x equals to 3. That is one of the values, one of the x values for this system of equations, but we also have to find the y value. So in order to find the y value, we still have to use the idea of substitution. So in a way, you can say that these two methods are kind of interconnected in a way. One has to know and understand the substitution method in order to use this elimination method and be successful in finding both the values for x as well as y. So to find y, guys, you can either go back to equation 1 or you can go back to equation 2. It is up to you. Well, in this case, let us substitute this and let us go back to equation 1 and try to solve for y using equation 1. So for equation 1, I have 2 times, and then x is 3, so I'm going to replace this by 3, plus y equals to 2. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus y equals to 2. Solving for y, you already know you got to subtract 6 from both sides, and you get y equals to -4. And then we already know that we want to write the final answers as a coordinate pair. So the final answer can be written like a coordinate pair, which is going to look like. So the final answer is x value is 3 because x comes first here, and then -4 for y. Guys, this is the final answer for the system of equations. The next thing that we want to always make sure is that whether this solution actually is correct or not, and we know how to do that. Let us verify it for this particular set of equations. So I have 2x plus y equals to 2, and I'm going to put a question mark here, and let us verify it for this particular first equation. So I have 2 times, and x will be 3 plus -4. You can put it in parentheses if you like, again a question mark. So 3 times 2 is 6, 6 minus 4, and 6 minus 4 is 2, so 2 equals to 2. So 3 and -4 satisfies the first equation. We also have to make sure that it satisfies the other equation as well. So let us look at the other equation on this side. On the other side, I have x minus y. X minus y is 7. I'm going to replace x with 3 and minus, and y is -4. So I'm going to again put it in parentheses. I'm going to put a question mark here. Guys, 3, negative times negative becomes positive. 3 plus 4, question mark 7. Well, we can see that the left hand side adds up to 7 and the right hand side is already 7. That means it satisfies the second equation as well. So guys, we see how the method of elimination works. It starts with the idea of eliminating or getting rid of one of the variables, whether you want to use a combination which is maybe adding, subtracting, or using like 2 or more mathematical operations at a time, and then getting rid of one of the variables, solving for one, substituting back. You still have to substitute and get the other variable, and then you know the verifying piece. Okay, so that's it for this example 1, type 1. In the next video, I'm going to talk about type 2, and then we'll talk about the type 3. Okay, thank you.